What a fucking week. No, fuck that. That fucking kitchen sink was my whole life for a whole fucking week. But now that that's fucking over, and it appears to be fucking over, I can get back to more important things, right? And I just wanted to take a moment to say thank all of you for the likes and the views for Buck Rogers. This is just Buck Rogers chat. There's no new story until Monday. Monday, I will start again. But before I get to Monday, we have the weekend. I wanted to kind of share some stuff and review everything. I don't know how far I can get or how much I can get done, but we got to do the best we can. And here is the art. It is very hard to get this book open. Now, I'm going to probably do some more polish on this. I'm thinking of doing another collected trade of the next 21 parts. I'm not sure what to call it, but I'm going to try to put some more white lines and colors. That this basically spoils the book if you know it. But I kind of spoiled it already, didn't I, with the last part. So a lot of characters are in the public domain. If you keep track and you do your research, you know which characters. I mean, starting with the Greek gods, right? All the Greek gods and Roman gods and Indian gods, you know, um, they weren't copyright protected, but it's like you had to get permission if you were going to put the Greek gods in India, right, or the Middle East when Alexander the Great would conquer it, right? I like that Alexander the Great had mercy on his enemies, but anyway, you have to get permission from the Sultan in ancient Persia to put up Apollo or Zeus or Hermes or Aphrodite, right? But anyway, some of the more recent stuff that got past the 95 or 96 year mark, like Buck Rogers. So with Buck Rogers, I wasn't sure what to really do. Like, obviously, you can't use the ones from the 50s. You can't use the 70s version. So nothing like that. And yet, how do you make Buck Rogers relevant? So, looking at the Truman Show, looking at THX 1138, looking at the original story, I wanted to kind of just have him. I wanted to play on those time travel elements, and yet I think there has to be something else. So there is the something else, and the explanation that Buddy, or actually I call him Wally Wade, that we'll go more into depth into that uh, later on next week. But that's just the tip of the iceberg that he traveled through time. And how did he travel? There was a rock. So he traveled through time through that rock. So I wanted to really like just have these elements set up because all this Disneyland fluff doesn't mean shit. It's there to kind of give you a sense. DC Comics 2000, two comic book series miniseries, right? Um, there were other elements, but mostly it's like the perception of what Tomorrowland would be, what was the future going to look like. Here's Wally. He first appears here, and this is like the idea. This is like here. This is Kiss, the band Kiss, with colors of different people of skin color and race, right? So it's about the insurrection of minorities being empowered, but it's lightly decorated like that. So this was just so many different ideas I had in mind, and I wanted to continue like putting those in there. You had so many questions. Buck World's Fair Chicago. So Buck World's Fair Chicago. He says at the bottom. Um, Now the color, of course, if you remember, I said that the color would be every 7 parts. Every 7 parts would be like a Sunday strip in which you had full color. You have multiple panels, and they're all different shapes. Whereas the daily strips will be strictly grayscale, black and white, with just 3 square panels, much like Garfield. That was the idea, and it was like because of the Garfield strips and He-Man comic books that I was like, I want to do it this way because it's the most economical way to tell a story, and I can get it done really quick, and I can tell you what's supposed to happen. So we're getting into Wilhelmina Deering, which you will kind of roll up your eyes and say, "Oh yeah, okay, I see what you did there," kind of thing. That's what's going to happen at the end. I created a theme accidentally here, which I'm now going to call the cry of a thousand mysteries, which was something that I kind of based on the Widget theme. You remember Widget is that little purple alien um, from the 90s. And here you got, he's going through the testing. And so we had Killer Kane. Killer Kane, uh, yeah, so here we got, here is Pestucci, which I based on Dr. Fauci, okay? And Pestucci was the name of a dog my grandmother had that looked like a fucking dirty mop. Every time I would see this dirty mop on the ground when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, it looked like it was dead. Like, was it alive? And then it would just like, it would be like this carpet, and then it would just like slink like a slug almost, but it would just move. It would just move around. So Bestucci was a dog that my grandmother had, and then we got Dr. Fauci, which when I saw that bastard like all those years ago, I said, "What a piece of shit." Anyway, I know what's going on. So yeah, this is where everybody takes off. Everybody takes off, and we leave Buck alone to figure out what's going on. So for 2 parts, I didn't have any dialogue. I think, like mostly no dialogue. Here, once he's alone, he gets the call, and then he goes out, and then he goes to the vent duct through the holy ground. That's based on an old IGN review, which was not officially coined, in which they reviewed Mission Impossible for the Nintendo 64. And he says, "Hey, you can't kill people in the restroom. That's holy ground. That's holy ground, you know." And I thought about it. Lyndon B. Johnson used the bathroom for his meetings. The bathroom is holy ground, right? It's like there's no cameras. What happens in the bathroom should stay in the bathroom, you know. But then you have restroom horror stories. So this one has no dialogue, and Buck is just going through the ducks like Solid Snake. And here is the least interesting part. Didn't get a lot of views for this. I didn't get a lot of views for some of these parts. As I noticed, all of you would slowly but surely increase in views and likes. So I kept on going with this, and I'll say some more about that at the end of this. So yeah, here we meet Wally, and he's talking. He's really talking to Buck for the first time, and then we get to this part of, oh yeah, there's something happening here. Now, I present it in a way that Wally could still be lying, that he could be lying as well as the others, but I don't think he's lying, mostly because I'm the one writing this. So, um, after all these parts, when we get to part 35, we kind of have a feeling that maybe he's telling the truth. So that's it for now, and all this is empty. But I'm hoping, because I have 80 parts to this. Okay, so let me end it on the little poster here. So right now it's 80. Well, this binder. Can you stand? Please, fucking stand. Um, Me being patient. This is 80 parts. This is an 80-page binder. Okay, so um, I want to get it under 80. I want to get this story under 80. I don't want to dwell too much on this, okay? If this were a real newspaper strip, 35 parts, what would that be like? 7 times 5, like a 5-week run. Takes longer to get some stories out. With Masters of the Universe, it took a lot longer. But anyway, yeah, if this did not get many views, if it didn't get many likes, if it just got 1 or 2 views, I would have stopped. I would have said, well, this was a nice experiment. I have done a lot of nice experiments for the last 25 years. And this year, I will celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Outcasters, which is an unofficial anniversary because I didn't officially publish them until 2007. But it is the 25th anniversary of that. And I ran with my own characters for 25 years or more and got nothing from people. People say, "Oh, that's nice art. Oh, that's nice." But once I got to a character that is now in the public domain that people might care about, they tried to do a movie. They've been trying to do a movie for the last 10 years. They haven't gotten anywhere with it. Um, George Clooney in Tomorrowland was the closest we got. Um, but after that, I, uh, there was nothing planned. Like, okay, so he travels. There was a John Carter. Uh, there was a John Carter movie that came out years ago, but nobody's paid attention. I wish I wanted Kerry Conran to do something like that. I mean, maybe Kerry Conran did Buck Rogers. I think it would have been a service. But Kerry Conran's kind of gone back into his little world. He was a one hit director. He did one hit movie, which I think Kerry Conran I think is the most fascinating director because we talk about George Lucas, we'll talk about Martin Scorsese or what is it, Richard Donner, right? Or the Wachowski brothers, right? Who did The Matrix, or I forgot the brothers who did some of the Marvel movies, right? Or Christopher Nolan, or uh, Watiti, Stephen. I don't know some of these other directors, or Jordan Peele, right? There's all these other directors. We talk about directors who have these long careers, Steven Spielberg, but Kerry Conran just did one fucking movie. That's it. And he did a commercial, I think. But he worked with all these big actors, and as quickly as he was there, he was quickly gone. So that's kind of a shame in a way. So Buck Rogers had to come back somehow. I gave him this haircut covering his left eye because he doesn't see everything that's in front of him. He can see some things. But when he lifts his hair to ask, you're going to make me wait here while you all go take off to fight Killer Kane. Uh, so he lifts his hair to try to see everything that he's supposed to see. But the way he's designed, he looks like he's about 12 or 13, okay? But in reality, I would say he's 18 years old. So he's 18 years old, but kind of looks like a degenerate 13 or 14-year-old, which I kind of look like in my 18-year-old youth. Um, he almost looks like Link from Wind Waker. He's got the pilot outfit. He's got the sort of the resistor design on his shirt. It's actually just wrinkles, right? But his gray shirt has like a resistor shape to try to process information not too quickly, but in resistance, right? So there's a little bit of purpose design in his outfit. Everything you're seeing, the way the angles are shot, are made as though it's done by Panos Cosmatos movie, in which you're seeing the texture of things, you're seeing the shapes of things, and then the actors or performers or the characters are second or third to that. So you never really see Buck and the others really in the same shot, except at different rare times when it's more stylized. Um, so you rarely see them. Like if you see two characters together, they're often weird angles, and they're never cinematically like on a stage, like sharing time. Like Garfield talks to John, or Garfield and Odie are in the same shot. It doesn't it doesn't have a stage look to it. It's more like these weird angles and these weird shapes and perspectives that purposefully are set there to tell something. So, like when Buck is climbing through the air ducts to see Wally, he has to go through a bit just to find out the truth of things. Um, and so he's waiting for Wally, and you never notice them like just looking at each other. They're just like you have this one angle here, one angle there. Um, Close-ups, extreme close-ups, textures of shoes and things. So little things like why do we have a worm's eye view or a bird's eye view of something? So that's what I focus on for this. And I'm not going to tell my plans yet until I finish this story. And then once we get to the end of that second story, then you'll start to see what's happening. Much like what Zack Snyder had done, and people wanted Man of Steel 2, and that wasn't the plan. That wasn't what Zack Snyder wanted to do. So if you think about all I've said, it'll start to make sense. It's going to be way better than those fucking horror movies that, do you really want to see Buck Rogers as a horror movie monster, the scary astronaut who preys upon people? I mean, he comes from the future to terrorize teenagers in some rural area. You don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. They showed Winnie the Pooh, they showed Popeye, they showed uh, Mickey Mouse, and it was just lame ass shit. Like, there's better stuff. Okay. And with that, wish me luck on part 36 and the next 6 parts. Let's see if we can get it under 80. But this video ends in 3, 2,